Welcome to this month's exercise of the month. This month the whole clinic is focused on osteoporosis, the management and the general conditions related to that. There's a few ways we're helping with that. We've got a couple of workshops going on where we're addressing the nutritional and exercise-based side of things, and I'm just going to do a little bit of chat about some of the major fundamentals of exercises for osteoporosis. The most important things, and there's two of them, one is that there should be an element of impact, and two is that there should be an element of weight bearing. There's a few ways you can go about this. Even just standing, anything I'm doing where I'm standing on my feet, I'm weight bearing, I'm putting force through the bones in the legs, and the bones then react by adding density and stiffness. Anything where I'm doing with the arms where I'm holding, pulling, moving weights is great. That's just forcing those bones to react. Or where the hands or the forearms are pressing into the floor, whether that's in a plank position, a push-up position, any of the exercises we've done to date where you've had your hands on the floor will be great. But stuff for the lower limb that could be as simple as skipping rope, could be as simple as just jogging or walking up and down stairs, is more than enough to get your body beginning to build more density in those bones. The gold standard for these things is weight-bearing exercise, so weightlifting. That will be the easiest way of getting the biggest change in bone density. An exercise I'm going to show you today, though, it's easy enough to go and do the ones I've shown you, but I want to give you one that's a little bit more specific, is a thing I call a drop lunge. So there's other names for it. It's a more typical lunge. It's not one we see very often because there is an element of risk. It's a bit more difficult to control, but it gets that impact in really nicely, and it teaches your body to control impact, which is what I think is the most important part of that. So usual rules apply for lunge. If you're looking at it from the front, the knee should be staying over the foot. Your feet should be vaguely parallel and not wider or narrower than your hips, so you shouldn't be on a tightrope. That will help your balance later on, and you should be trying to stay upright and keep your belt buckle pulled up. So that buckle up cue that I normally use in most of my exercises. So this could be your final position, or depending on the exercise, you could be right down here in a very, very low lunge. So the exercise is all about controlling the depth. Don't go as far as you physically can to start with. Gradually build, start easy and build up. The exercise itself starts in a kind of along the mat position, and the first part is just to get the hang of balance. So you're just going to tilt forwards and backwards, letting your feet and ankles do the work to stop you from falling. They will do that whether you want them to or not. As you rock forwards, your toes will push into the floor, and that pushes you back. So the best way to start this exercise is just to do a few of those until you start getting a bit braver. As you start pushing forwards, go further and further and further until your heels want to lift. When your heels want to lift, you want to go as far as you can and then take a step forwards and land into a lunge. Ideally, you'd be looking forwards. Obviously, I'm looking at the camera, but I want you to be nice and in control on the landing. Whether it's a short one, just a little step and back. Ideally, I want you to return in one clean movement as well, or whether it's a very long one where you drop right the way down to the floor and back up. You can obviously take that further and further. You can lengthen the movement, but you have to come back in one movement. That's a good sign that you're going far enough for yourself. Last thing to bear in mind, as much as I'm talking about impact, there's plenty of force going through my leg, but it's also not a loud movement. I don't want to be hearing the impact on landing. If you listen to the first ones I've done so far, they've all been very quiet. We're landing, we're controlling the impact and returning back upright. That gives nearly everything we need from an exercise for osteoporosis. It's also fantastic for your balance. It stretches the hip flexor, it gets your glutes working, and it's very, very good for the intrinsic muscles or the inside muscles of the foot. If you've got any questions, as per usual, we're here at Durham House to answer any questions you've got. I'll be back next month with our next exercise. Thank you very much.